It was a quiet Thursday morning in late October, just past 8 a.m., the kind of morning in Glendale, Arizona, where the sun begins to stretch across sleepy streets and the scent of dew clings to the edges of yellowing lawns. Samantha Boyd, 62, had followed the same route every morning since her retirement 2 years earlier. Left on West Sierra Vista Drive, past the rustling jacaranda trees, down 58th Avenue. She liked the routine. Predictable. Comforting. The world moved fast, but her little neighborhood hadn't changed much in decades. What did change that morning was a stray. She first noticed him near the trash bins behind Garcia's Market. A dusty tan mutt with perked ears, wiry fur, and one white paw. He didn't beg, didn't bark, just watched her from a distance. Samantha wasn't a dog person, really. Her husband had been allergic, and after he passed in 2016, she never thought much about pets. But something about the dog's calm gaze made her pause. She offered a half smile, kept walking. But the dog followed, 10 feet behind, silent, steady. She turned onto a quieter stretch, an alley shortcut she'd taken for years. Narrow, lined with chain-link fences, dumpsters, and overgrown bougainvillea. That's when she heard it. A footstep behind her. Then, faster ones. She barely turned when a man in a hoodie lunged forward. His hand grabbed her arm. She stumbled, tried to scream, but no sound came out. The alley was too isolated. And then, chaos. A bark. Loud, furious. The tan dog lunged. Teeth flashed. The man shouted, "Let go of her arm." Samantha fell backward onto the concrete. She heard a scream. This time, his. The dog had clamped onto the man's jeans, yanking, growling, snapping. The attacker kicked, missed. The dog didn't let go. The man broke free and ran. The stray chased after him for several yards, then returned to her. Blood was rushing in Samantha's ears. Her knees scraped, heart pounding, hands trembling. And yet, when the dog padded back and sat beside her, she felt safe. Samantha sat on the cold pavement, her breathing shallow, chest heaving. Her purse had fallen to the side. The clasp was open, but nothing had been taken. Her arm throbbed where the man had grabbed her. She glanced down, already bruising. The dog sat near her knee, ears tilted forward, eyes locked on her face. His tail didn't wag. He wasn't celebrating. He was waiting. For her. "Good boy," she said hoarsely, reaching out. The dog didn't flinch. Instead, he leaned his head into her palm, warm and solid. She looked up and down the alley. The man had vanished. No one else in sight. She picked up her purse, stood slowly, knees unsteady. "Let's go," she whispered, unsure if she meant it for herself or the dog. But he followed, all the way home. Her house on North 59th Avenue looked the same as ever. Brown stucco, white trim, tidy cactus in the yard. But something had changed. When she turned to say goodbye to the stray, she hesitated. The dog sat at her gate. She opened it. He didn't move. "You want to come in?" He didn't bark, didn't whine, just walked inside as if he'd done it before. She gave him a bowl of water and a slice of leftover turkey. He ate quietly, politely. Not like a scavenger, like a guest. When she sat on the sofa, he curled at her feet. She didn't call animal control. Not that night. The next morning, she called the police. Officer Jared Morales arrived around 10 a.m., took her statement, and noted the bruising on her arm. She described the man. Mid-30s, Caucasian, 5'10", gray hoodie, blue jeans. No distinguishing tattoos, no accent. A random mugging. What about the dog? Morales asked. He saved me, she replied. Chase the guy off. Morales crouched near the mutt, who sniffed his boot, unimpressed. Not yours? No. He followed me yesterday. First time I ever saw him. Well, Morales said, smiling faintly, you might have made a friend for life. Word spread through the neighborhood. Neighbors stopped by to hear the story. They brought treats, a leash, a bed. Looks like you've got yourself a hero, said Mrs. Klein from next door. Samantha never named him. Not at first. Just boy or hey you. But when the vets scanned for a chip, there wasn't one. And when the shelter confirmed he wasn't on any missing cat reports, she took it as a sign. He wasn't missing. He had found her. She named him Chance, because that's what he gave her. Another chance to feel safe. Another chance not to be alone. 2 days after the attack, Officer Morales returned with an update. We may have something, he said, stepping onto Samantha's porch, notepad in hand. There was a similar incident a few blocks away. Woman in her 40s. Happened 3 weeks ago. Same MO. Early morning. Isolated spot. Grabbed from behind. Samantha tightened her grip on the mug of tea in her hands. Her fingers trembled slightly, though the Arizona morning was already warm. Did he hurt her? She got away. Bruised ribs. But she didn't see a face either. Security cameras picked up a guy near the scene. A bit blurry, but it might help. We've got patrol cars canvassing the area. Chance sat at the top of the steps, head low, eyes never leaving Morales. Protective, unwavering. Morales knelt to his level. You're a good dog, he murmured. Chance gave a small, polite huff of breath, but didn't wag his tail. When Morales left, Samantha stood by the door for a long moment. Then she closed the deadbolt, turned, and looked at Chance. You knew, didn't you? She whispered. Before it happened, you knew. He blinked slowly. No answer, but somehow she didn't need one. That night, she dreamed she was back in the alley. Alone. The air was thick and heavy, her legs wouldn't move, and when she tried to scream, no sound came. The man was closer this time, smiling. But just before he reached her, Chance appeared. Bigger, fiercer, glowing like a shadow pulled from firelight. He leapt, teeth bared, and the dream shattered. She woke up sweating, the blankets tangled at her feet. In the dark, she reached out and felt warm fur beneath her fingertips. Chance had curled beside her bed. She didn't ask how he knew. Some things didn't need asking. A week passed. The bruises faded. The fear lingered. She tried walking again, just around the block. With Chance at her side, people waved more. They asked about the hero dog. Children pointed. Strangers smiled. It was different now. Walking, not routine, but ritual. On a Thursday afternoon, Morales returned again. We think we've got him, he said. DNA under her fingernails from the last victim matched a guy, Troy Kinney. Released from prison last year. Multiple priors. Assault, burglary, attempted robbery. His parole officer's helping us find him. Will he come back? She asked. We don't think so, Morales said. But if he does, well, you've got a hell of a deterrent. Chance watched them both from the doorway, tail still, eyes sharp. It was dusk when it happened. Samantha had just finished watering the dusty flower beds by the porch. The sun dipped low, casting long shadows across the sidewalk. The scent of warm earth and desert sage drifted through the air. Chance sat nearby, eyes fixed on the street, always watching, always quiet. And then he growled. It wasn't the curious bark he used when a cat crossed the yard. It wasn't the alert huff when a car backfired. This sound came from deep in his chest, A warning. A promise. Samantha straightened slowly. "What is it, boy?" He stood, every muscle tense, ears forward. That's when she saw the man. He stood across the street, between the flickering light of a broken lamppost and the creeping dark of the alley, hoodie pulled low. Still, watching. Her blood turned cold. Chance stepped forward once, then twice. He didn't bark. He didn't charge. He just stood tall, silent, direct, unwavering, a sentry. The man took a step back, then another, then turned and vanished down the alley. Samantha's hands were shaking as she reached for her phone. She didn't need to dial. She had Morales on speed dial now. By the time the officers arrived, the man was gone. Again. But this time, Morales brought more than words. "We're not taking any more chances," he said, motioning to the young officer beside him. "This is Officer Vela. She's going to patrol this area the next few nights, in plain clothes. If he shows again, we'll have him." Samantha nodded, hands still trembling. "Do you want to go somewhere safer in the meantime?" he asked gently. She looked down at Chance, who was sitting beside her chair, head resting on her ankle. "No," she said. "I already am." That night, she barely slept. She kept the hallway light on. Chance slept on the rug by the front door, one ear cocked upward. At 2:41 a.m., he growled again. She was already half awake. She slipped out of bed, moved quietly to the window, heart pounding in her ears. There he was, back again, but not across the street this time. He was in her yard. She whispered, "No." Chance stood and pressed his body against the front door. Samantha grabbed her phone, her fingers shaking so hard she nearly dropped it. She called Morales, her voice low. "He's here, now. Stay inside," he said. "We're coming." The man didn't move at first, just stared at the house. Then something shifted. He reached for the gate. Chance barked once, loud, sharp, echoing. The man froze. Another bark, deeper, closer. The porch light flicked on. A patrol car rounded the corner, headlights sweeping across the yard. The man bolted. But this time, he wasn't fast enough. Two officers sprinted from the vehicle. One tackled him. The other cuffed him. Samantha watched it all from the window, one hand covering her mouth, the other pressed against the warm fur of the dog, who had once again kept her safe. The next morning, Samantha opened the door, not to fear, but to sunlight. Officer Morales returned, this time with a calm smile and paperwork in hand. "He's in custody," he said simply. "No bail. They found a knife on him. DNA match. It's over." Samantha didn't cry, not yet, but her breath caught in her chest like it hadn't in days. Chance sat beside her, tail thumping once on the porch. "You okay?" Morales asked gently. She nodded. "Thanks to him." Morales looked down at Chance. "You know, it's funny. We spend all this money on alarms and cameras, and here you are, no badge, no contract, just loyalty." That evening, neighbors came by again, this time with casseroles, cupcakes, and something else. A collar, blue leather, sturdy, embossed with silver letters. Chance. "He's not a stray anymore," Mrs. Klein said softly. "He's yours." Samantha took the collar in both hands. Her fingers brushed the smooth leather. Chance sat patiently, like he knew. She knelt, tears finally spilling down her cheeks, and fastened the collar around his neck. "There," she whispered. "Now you're home." Weeks passed. The fear faded. Samantha no longer looked over her shoulder. She and Chance walked new routes now, longer ones, through parks, around lakes, past benches where old veterans tipped their hats and children asked if they could pet her hero dog. She began volunteering at the local shelter, talking to people who'd been afraid too, afraid of walking alone, of change, of trust. She told them about a dusty tan mutt with one white paw who gave her back something she didn't even know she'd lost. One afternoon, a news station aired a local feature, Stray Dog Turns Hero in Glendale Attack. The camera zoomed in on Samantha's face, framed by soft sunlight, and then on Chance, calm, steady, wearing his new blue collar. "I was alone," she said into the mic, "until he chose me. I didn't rescue him. He rescued me." Sometimes, the ones we overlook are the ones who save us. Sometimes, second chances come with fur, scars, and steady eyes. And sometimes, the loudest kind of love is silent and loyal to the very end. If this story touched your heart, please consider subscribing, liking, or leaving a comment. Your support helps bring more true stories like this one to light. Winter came late to Glendale that year. The Arizona air grew cooler, but the skies stayed clear, the sun generous. Samantha walked every morning now, not out of habit, but out of joy. With Chance trotting beside her, leash loose, tail swaying, every block felt like a small victory. They had become something of a local symbol, the woman who had been saved, the dog who stayed. Children would point from porches, joggers slowed to wave. Sometimes, people Samantha had never met approached her in the grocery store or at the pharmacy. "I saw you on the news," they'd say. "That dog, he's something special." And she would smile, rest a hand on his back, and say the same thing every time. "He's not my dog. He's my angel." Chance had his own bed now, though more often than not, he slept at her feet or near the door. He never barked at mailmen. He never begged for food. But he always knew when her heart skipped a beat, when a sound in the distance tightened her chest, when memory, uninvited, knocked at the back of her mind. He was there, not just a dog, a presence, a quiet protector, a second chance. Samantha began writing again, short essays, letters to friends, notes to herself. One of them she pinned to her fridge. It read, "I thought I was invisible, that no one saw me. I was wrong. One stray dog did, and that was enough." That spring, the city council invited her to speak at a local event for community safety. She stood at the podium, nervous, hands shaking just slightly. Chance sat at her side, calm as ever. She looked out over the crowd, gray hair, young faces, neighbors old and new. And she said, "I was attacked in my own neighborhood, and I was saved. Not by a weapon, not by a wall, but by loyalty, by instinct, by an animal no one wanted." She paused, let the silence settle, then continued. "Sometimes the world moves too fast. We forget to look down, to see the ones in the shadows, the ones who wait quietly, but those are often the ones who will stand for you when no one else does." Chance was later given a local Heroes Medal. The ceremony was small, just city officials, a few reporters, and neighbors. He didn't care for the attention, but when Samantha clipped the medal to his collar, he looked at her and gently pressed his head into her chest. The cameras flashed, and just like that, his story, their story, became a part of something bigger. So if you're walking one day, and a silent dog follows you from the shadows, don't be afraid. It may not be luck. It may just be love, walking quietly behind you, waiting for the right moment to protect you, forever loyal, forever brave. Just like Chance. If this story moved you, please like the video, leave a comment below, and subscribe for more true stories of kindness, courage, and second chances. Thank you for listening.